All of the views and opinions expressed here are those of the individual speaking and may not be representative of Koenig American. At times, language may be considered vulgar. Listener discretion is suggested.
You are now listening to the Koenig Behind the Wheel podcast.
All right, we're live. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Wheel Wednesday podcast. I'm Nick from Koenig. With me is Scott from Koenig. And we hope you're doing well on this Wednesday.
Yeah.
How you doing on this Wednesday, Scott?
Yeah, great. Hope you're killing the game.
Let's do a little bit of maintenance here. Last Friday, we dropped a new piece of content. It was 5 things that you probably didn't know about Koenig.
Yeah. That was an interesting piece. You know, listen, I think that, we get a lot of random questions, and so we decided to randomly throw some of those facts into a video. And if you want to check it out, go over to our YouTube channel, Koenig Wheels USA. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the video, click the notification bell. That's how we're going to be doing giveaways coming up. But also, while you're on this video, make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe down below.
I was about to say, while you're doing that, you know.
Yeah.
So let me think. What else did we do? I don't think we dropped anything else last week, aside from last week's Wheel Wednesday
really.
topic.
Yeah, we've kind of taken a break from the kickbacks. You know, we thought they were cool in the sense that, you know, it was kind of an automotive news thing, but I don't know, it just didn't seem to be getting traction. So
Yeah.
So we regressed and we're regrouping, and maybe we'll come up with something else. So
We'll see. Stay tuned
sure.
for whatever that is.
yeah. So today's podcast topic is pretty fun. It's, again, so many of our podcasts start with conversations or debates that start around the office, and one of the ones that we were talking about is, you know, if money was no object, what cars would you own, right? And so it's interesting, you know, I think when you start talking about like money is no option cars, that they're not always the most expensive, like in the terms like you would think, but some of them are just cars that are rarely desirable that could potentially drive a price, so it's kind of like you have the ability to overspend for them.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to actually ask. So before we get into the cars, do you want to do or are you talking just like cars, like you want to own all of these, or if you had to choose one of them, or just...
No, I want to own them all. Listen, I'll tell you that, like, you know, everybody, you know, this wasn't something I had to research. I mean, like, I know what cars I would buy if I had an unlimited amount of money. But I think the hard part for me is that, and my wife jokes about this all the time, that if we had a lot of money, I would have a house that was nice but not big,
and like 30 cars,
and like a 30-car garage, you know, with a lot of space in it. And the truth is, because for me, cars are, you know, they're more than just, you know, something to drive or whatever. Like to me, it's about this whole package, you know, what you can build, what the car looks like, how it feels, building the car. You know, to me, building the car sometimes is even more important than driving it.
I'm the opposite.
No, and a lot of people are. And a lot of people are, and I get that.
For me, I want to experience driving the cars. I want to see how they feel. I mean, not just factory, obviously, with work done to them, but overall, I like experiencing the car.
Yeah, yeah. And that's how it should. I'm not saying like I don't ever want to drive the cars. I'm just saying that, like,
no, of course. Why work on it if you're not going to drive it?
Right. For me, there's so many cars that I would own because I get to build them. Like, for me, it's kind of like a way of like being, like, exercising my creativity. You know what I mean? Like, nothing's the same. You know, every line placement or puzzle, and, you know, I like the challenge of figuring things out. I mean, like, as much as I hate wiring, you know, doing custom wiring harnesses on some of the cars to make them look as clean as possible and link up with with the actual plugs. And I mean, it's annoying, but like that stuff to me is when I get done
but it gets satisfying. It's like, wow, I got this to look like really clean and
factory.
You know.
Yeah, you know, and so I have a lot of those. But then I don't know that all those cars fall into the like out of the budget thing. So those cars are not on my list. I'm talking about money. I'm talking about cars that legitimately you need to have the money for to pick up, right? So that's our list. Make sure
that's
you throw.
your list. That's not my list.
Well, listen, whatever. Make sure you throw what you think your top cars would be. I don't have a number. Just you guys know, like if you had a lot of money, what cars would you end up running out to buy? So throw them in below. I'm interested to see kind of the different cars that you guys have and kind of what price ranges they go for, right?
Yeah.
All right, so why don't you kick it off? What do you got?
All right, so to kick it off, this is a car that it's old, and for what it is, I feel like the price point is really high right now.
Okay.
Especially to find it in very clean condition. I feel like I mentioned this in another podcast or something that we spoke about. But I would love to have a classic Mini Cooper. And they're not outlandish. Like, of course, I could save up and buy one, but for what they are, I feel like they're very expensive. And to find like a very, very clean one, you're talking like just a little under 20 grand. What I find, I'm talking like clean, spotless.
But you think that's on your list of cars that, like, if you had an unlimited amount of money, that'd be one of them?
You know what it is? When, like, I don't think I would go with something super crazy like, I don't know, like getting like a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, or maybe a McLaren would be cool, but like, I don't know. I don't see myself. I've never pictured myself in any of those like really, really higher end cars. Anytime I think about a car that's like, wow, if I had the money to do it, it's always been like, what car would I have, but in like really clean condition that like I wouldn't have now. Like, for example, I've always wanted a Unos. I have a Unos now, so I was like, all right, cool. Like, I got that one thing down. But if I had all the like an unlimited amount, I would do so many things to that Unos. Like, it would be my own way,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I guess I get that. I kind of feel like for me, when I think about this list, these are the cars that almost are unobtainable for me. You know what I mean? Like, I may, like, when we come down to projects, like, for example, like, one of the cars on my list is a Supra, right? A Mark IV Supra. Does that mean I'll never own a Supra? No, I probably will find a Supra. It won't be the one that I want. Like, if I had a choice to get a Supra, like, I'd want one of the last years, I'd want a 97 6-speed twin turbo Targa Supra. The 97.
But not just that. You would also want the funds to do everything you want to the car, right?
Well, maybe, but before, it's hard because when you find the car that you want, I almost don't know if I could molest it. Like, I do things, I think, I'm not sure. We say this, I don't ever have this car, but what I'm saying is, like,
you get the car and like sure. 2 days in, it's in pieces in the garage.
I may do coilovers and wheels and some different and mods or whatever, but for me, what's interesting about 97 is that was the year that the cars were badged 15th anniversary. So, like, I would want to spend all the money to try to find the cleanest, lowest mileage,
right.
like, most pristine interior. Like, I want, you know what I mean? Like, because I have this thing about, like, to me, if I'm going to buy one of those cars, like, I want it, like, I could go buy another Supra.
Yeah, of course.
And build it, or a shell, or whatever it is. But this one, I want like a collection-worthy car. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
And so I want one of the last years. I want, like, give me the real.
Oh, 100%.
Pristine, yeah. So that's one of them on my list.
Nice.
What do you got?
So I have a few. I don't know which one.
Well, why don't you just start going?
So the next thing I would want, and again, like, it's definitely an obtainable car, but to find a really clean one, and there was one. I'm so upset because one of my high school teachers, I think it was like her uncle or something. I was friends with her cousin, but like her uncle had a 2003 Evo with like 16,000 miles on it, and it was super clean. And I was just like, damn. And like from that point on, I've always wanted an Evo, but I don't want the beat up ones that you see on Facebook Marketplace. I don't want.
But you would do an Evo 8, like that's your.
I just always wanted one. You know, I've always wanted one. I've always wanted one that's super clean, unmolested, untouched, is completely bone stock. Just enjoying that car how it is.
So you like that Evo 7, 8, 9 body style.
Yeah. Well, that's the first one I was introduced to because obviously, you know, it was the first one here. And I've experienced other Evos. I've seen them, but I think that one is just I've always wanted that one, you know.
Okay. That's interesting. Let's see. So I guess one of the other cars that would be on my list, and I kind of have two, so I'd have to have two. I mean, because I have a lot of money, right? It's the next two cars are R34s. There's two of them.
It's on my list too.
There's a reason for this. So if money was no object, and I don't even know that if money was no object, I could find one to buy, but I guess you can make the argument that anything has its price, right?
You know some R34s. I've seen friends of mine post up like the auction pricing on them, and some of these ones that sell are like way upwards of like 100, 200 grand. I'm like, what the hell?
Well, and the one that I'm going to tell you that's on my list here is going to shatter that. So I would like, and if you don't know about this car, go read about it, but if money was no object, an R34 Z-Tune. It was one of only a few, I believe the number, I think there was 18 of them. So the story goes, and if I'm misquoting this, you know, somebody, you know, forgive me, but so back in the day, right when they ended production of the R34, Nismo decided to do some sort of like commemorative last chance build. Now, they didn't have any more cars, so they actually went into the secondhand Japanese market, you know, used market, and they bought 18 R34s. So, like, you know, whatever they could find. The deal was that they had to find cars that were all low mileage. So I think every car was like under, like, I don't know, like 30-something thousand kilometers, which is like, what, like 18,000 miles or whatever.
Somewhere around there.
And they built these cars with not the 2.6, but a 2.8 RB. So it was an RB28 technically. Twin turbo, upgraded turbos, upgraded suspension, carbon fiber front ends. The cars were lighter, faster, more nimble, better handling. You know, just and only 18. Now, every single one of those cars, except for one, was painted this Z-tuned silver, right?
Okay.
There is now. Let's start like this. If I could even get one of those, I'm good. I got my list. I mean, I got the R34 on my list that I really want. But one of them was an original midnight purple R34 that they left. So that, I think they say that is the rarest R34 in the world because it's one of them.
Yeah, there's only one.
Now, what I do know is, and this was like a story that came out, I think, a year or two ago, one of the original silver cars was actually, I think, restored and painted midnight purple. So technically there's two, right? But look, I'm not going to be picky. I'll take one of the 18, the silver ones.
17 now.
17. I'll take one of the 17. So, actually 16, because there was 18 cars. Right. So one of the 16. But yeah. So R34 Z-Tune, I think it's just to have a car like that in such good condition, to be able to really feel like you have the presence of history.
What would you even do with that?
I don't.
I put like a glass box around
I know.
it and like
which is
stare at it.
Which is exactly why I said I had 2 R34s on my list. This is why.
I would get like a full like plastic suit that like disinfect myself before going inside and like.
I know, and I know.
Sitting in the car.
And for the people that are screaming at the thing saying cars are for driving, you're right, but there's something about prolonging something for prosperity.
Right.
I just can't. I can't explain
like,
what it is.
Like, think about it. You could drive that car every single day for the next 30 years, or you could have it in such good condition that in 30 years it's going to be even more amazing that it's in such pristine condition.
I think it's kind of like if you're the only two, like if there's a man and a woman on an island and they're the only people in the world left, and they have to have a baby kind of thing. It's for prosperity. It's not so much, right? And so I guess that's what the car. Anyhow, so I guess staying right on the same topic because the same car. Is if I could just get a really low mileage, really clean, pristine R34 V-Spec 2, so it's like a later model. I don't need like an M-Spec or one of the
in a few years that might be possible for you.
Maybe.
Start bringing them in.
No, the price is good. I mean, they could be $200,000.
Oh hell yeah.
I don't need one of those, but like a V-Spec, really clean, V-Spec 2, late mile, low mileage. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have this thing with Midnight Purple cars, but, look, you give me one in white.
White is
that
nice.
White that I could really just, drive and enjoy and like, you know what I'm saying, modify, like, but like, I'm in.
I've always been a fan of the blue one.
Yeah, I like blue. I just feel, you know what it is? I feel like it's almost so
overplayed now.
I don't want to say stereotypical because it's not like the, but you know what I mean? Like because of the Paul Walker thing.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like, meanwhile, I know he had one. I think that now Sean have it. Sean, anyhow, but his was white. One of his was white. So I don't know, but I love the white ones. Anyhow, so. R34 was the next. I think I just conquered my JDM monsters. And I have a lot of other JDM cars that I would love to have, but if you told me about money, no object, these are the cars I go searching for.
Okay.
All right, you up.
This next one you're not really going to expect. I guarantee you're not going to expect.
I didn't expect the last two, so.
So money was no object, and I wanted something Miata-esque. Convertible, nice, but it actually has some power under it.
Well, I know you're not picking an S2000 now.
I'm definitely not picking an S2000. I'm
Okay.
telling you, you're not going to expect this. For like a nice semi-daily, semi-weekend convertible car,
Okay.
the Jaguar F-Type.
Okay. Like what year?
2016?
Okay.
Somewhere around there. I mean,
Okay.
It's not legendary. It's not
Now, don't
anything
they have,
super
don't
crazy,
they have
but it's like,
FKRs?
what do you mean?
Don't they have the
Like
R?
the F-Type? Yeah.
So you go with that at least, right?
Yes.
Right. I don't even know if they make that in convertible, but okay.
Really?
That's
I'm
interesting.
pretty sure they do.
I have no idea.
I don't know. It's just
All right.
random dream. That's the only like really really high expensive car that I can ever think of I've ever possibly wanted.
I mean, you're halfway between being an interesting to the table and being a real disappointment.
Everyone's already clicking out right now.
I mean, I gotta be honest with you. If I walked into this garage he's putting together, I'd be a little disappointed. All right. Well, anyhow, so all right.
Anyways, I mean, the next two cars might make you feel a little bit better.
Let me go again because we gotta give him something to talk about. All right. So I got through my JDM-ish stuff there. I would really love, money no object, I'd really love a 2015 McLaren P1.
Okay.
Like, last year that they made it.
Why?
Why would I want that car?
Yeah, I just mean, what about it?
The car looks like it's going 1,000,000 miles an hour, standing still. It is twin turbo, all goodness. So it gives me my turbo vibes. It's absolutely incredible. Just give me the last year that they ran that car, so I can again have something that's like, noteworthy.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't know that car. Have you ever been in one of those?
No. I see them on the highway.
Well, they're not that. They're not. No, you see McLarens, but I don't know if you see P1s rolling around. P1s are like, yeah.
I'm gonna go to the interweb.
Fair. Yeah, so I don't know. I have this thing with McLarens are really incredible
P1.
to begin with. So whether you have a 720, 765, whether you have some of the 600 ones,
Nice. What color would you get?
there's like a really dark charcoal.
This one?
I don't know. That looks black to me, but in that realm, yeah.
Nice.
I just think.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Imagine pulling up to work in that.
I don't know. I don't need to pull up work to it. I'm just telling you that I there's something about, like, I've been in that car before.
Really? Did you know
Yeah.
someone that owned it?
Sort of. No, I not directly, but yes, it gave me the opportunity.
Did you drive it?
No. No. But I went for a ride in it, and they didn't even hammer for. I mean, the car fast? Yes, the car is fast. I think at the time it was one of the fastest production cars that was out. One of them, But I mean, excess of 220 miles an hour, I believe. And I think it only had like 750 horsepower. But I mean, the thing is it's just gorgeous. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you see it, like, when I got out of it, like, I wanted to hug it and bring it home. So, all right. So McLaren P1, 2015. If anybody's out there and you have a lot of money, you happen to be watching this, and you
just want to give one away,
or maybe like some sort of like, hey, maybe you can hold it at your house kind of thing. Even on the weekends, I would be happy to.
He'll kick his 350Z right to the curb in the snow, rain, hail, just so he can have a nice space for your McLaren.
You give me a P1, and I will donate my car to somewhere where we can get some money for it, so we can give to charity. Just so I'll hold the P1.
Yeah, just think of the kids.
I'm a real
let him borrow your P1.
I'm a real generous guy over here, Anyhow, all right, guys, let's give me one of your brain shakers over here.
All right, the next one will be the first generation NSX, or the NA1 NSX.
Okay, well, they all.
I mean,
you're talking about like
NA1, NA2,
right?
The one with the pop-ups.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I've always wanted that car since I first started driving. I remember seeing one in a dealership by my house. It was like a luxury dealership, and the price tag on it was like $78,000 or something like that. Yeah. And I was like, that's a lot. And like the car just looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, they did a good job. The only thing I wish that the NSX did better was I wish it was faster out of the box. They made an exotic that didn't really feel.
They made an affordable exotic.
I don't know that you can make that case.
I mean,
yes,
the price point on it in comparison to other exotics, especially back in the year when it came out, is like.
Well, it was right in that Supra, not GTR, Supra,
RX-7.
Yeah, like those. But the problem, RX-7 would have been cheaper than that. But, to me, I think the problem really is that when you start talking about that car, I mean, first off, I understand your pick.
Right.
Because I think that's very much up there with, like, why I would want a Mark IV Supra or something like that, Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a great car.
Yeah. I've always wanted one. One of my closest friends has one. I've driven it, After having driven it, I don't know. I was a little torn. I was like, it's completely different.
What you thought it would be.
It's not what I thought it would be, but I still think owning one and owning like a really nice, clean condition one, and doing a couple things to it here and there. Again, nothing too crazy. Probably just like some wheels, coilovers, keeping it pretty original.
Yeah.
I've always wanted one, and I think it would be really cool to own one one day.
All right, that's a respectable one. You know what kills me? What really burns me is when you know where there's someone that has one of these cars, and you know that they really don't do much with it, or that it's like dusty or whatever.
Yeah.
And like it's just sitting there, and you're like, well,
It's always like, I would do so much if I had that car. Like, why do you, like.
I guess so.
But I don't know. Then there's also those times where like you do get that car, and it's like, I said I would do so much with it, and then sometimes you end up doing the same thing.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's just the nature.
So, all right. So that was a good one. I think if, again, money is no object, I kind of think just for the nature of what it is, and I mean, obviously people can debate about this, but I think a Tesla Roadster
Really?
would be a really interesting. First off, it like could take the chocolate right off of pudding, like it's super fast. And I think that there's something about having, again, I think so like the Porsche Taycan that they just came out with, again, super fast electric car, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but something feels like I feel like going down the road, having a Tesla is going to be like having one of those cars that had very prestigious, rare type numbers, even though they're making these cars in droves. I don't know that I think Tesla's going, I'm not sure if Tesla will ever make it to this super, like, big auto segment. And if and they are kind of there now, but what I mean is, if they do make it there, to have something of history that went along with it, I just feel like the Tesla Roadster is just super cool. Yeah. So I think I'd want one and I think that would be just a blast to drive, and man, it's super quick.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, Tesla Roadster is definitely on my list.
Yeah. I have one more. This is the final car I have on my list. I
only have one more too. Well, I have like 100 more, but for today,
I actually have two more, and my most of my choices are from like young me learning to drive and being like, damn, if I, it'd be so awesome if I had this car. And I used to like stare at these cars all the time on the internet, like, so the next one I have is an FD ARC-7.
Okay.
I've always just thought they're so fucking good looking. Like I think it is one of the most good looking cars there's out there.
It's a good looking car, but I mean, money no object, good looking car.
Well, you figure
it's a great.
You got to maintain that rotary, so money no object.
Well, it's a great car, but I guess what I'm saying is, it's foreseeable that you could go get one in an ample amount of time if you saved.
Yeah.
Me. Like, I could go buy one.
Well, a lot of the cars I mentioned, you could.
I know. So that's what I'm saying. Do they really fall into the no money object type cars?
Well,
There's nothing else like out of. You have all the money in the world. There's nothing else. You walk into a dealership, throw the cash down on the table, and you're like,
you know what it is?
That.
I don't really pay attention to super high-end luxury cars. I don't pay attention to hypercars.
I get that.
I go based off of, like, my desire for a car comes from, like, I've always wanted this. I've always wanted to experience it, so I'm going to experience it,
Sure. I get all those things, yeah.
And that's pretty much where my choices come from, Yep. I've always wanted an RX-7. It's always been a little bit out of the price range. I mean, you're right. I could go buy one if I wanted to. But to get one that's not a super project, to get one that's super clean, low mileage, those are pretty hard to find. And I would say that brings the price point up, and that goes under my no money, no object.
That's interesting. All right, let's see. I guess rounding out my list here of no money object cars, and there's a lot of other cars. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, you want to, there's a lot of Lambos and stuff like that. That like, if I had, I would like to own. But what I'm saying is, like,
yeah, like those cars would be cool to own, and I'm on the same thing. Like, yeah, it'd be cool to own a Lambo, but I've never like really desired owning one like that.
But I'm also like a car guy, and so when you're a car person, I think that there's different types of car people. And, like, if you know Tavares, YouTube Tavares, his twin turbo Lambo that he did, the convertible white one that he rebuilt, like, that's an awesome car, right? There's no doubt that, like, you gave me that, and I love that because he turned it into a real, like, car guys work on, build car. But there's a lot of cars out there that I don't just want to buy and own. I want to be able to
work on it
and do stuff with or whatever it may be. And so some of those cars are not in that realm. I think that one of my last cars that when I grabbed a short list of the cars I think if I had a lot of money, I'd have to have. And everything else I probably would grab and play with for a little while and then sell, whatever. But these are cars like I think I would keep forever.
Oh, yeah. All of the ones on my list are pretty much that,
But I think like a Porsche GT3 RS is kind of right where I would need to be.
Doesn't someone have one in the parking lot all the time?
No, they got a GT3.
Oh.
No, it was a GT2? GT3. So, there's something about GT3, and don't get me wrong, I know that I love the 911 Turbo S, and it's way faster, and I get all that, but there's something about the GT3 RS that just becomes planted to know that it's a real driver's car.
Well, what makes it different?
Well, so the GT3 RS is basically like their full-on road race, track build. And it really separates. The Turbo S is turboed, and it's way faster. But faster doesn't always mean faster, like as a driver.
So what does it have done differently? Different types of suspension components, or other ways to make it handle better for the track?
Yeah, it's track spirited. It's rear wheel drive. It's it's NA as far as right. I think now the new one's still NA. I know all the old ones were NA. I'm just making sure. But it's just they're incredible, and like Rick, who used to own Koenig, he had a 997 GT3 RS, and I got to drive that a little bit, and that car's a blast. Yeah. I mean, car's a blast. So again, there's a lot of other cars out there that I would love to own if I had a lot of money. These cars are on the top list of the stuff that I don't think I could give away. Now, riddled, if you talk about total overall car collection, riddled in the walls of my car mansion,
in your giant garage and tiny house,
would be a ton of different Japanese import type cars that I found and stuff like that. Would also be a ton of stuff that just would never ever run because I would have made projects out of so much. And I have, and maybe a podcast topic for another day, but I have like this bucket list of swaps that I want to do. They're not necessarily these things about like this would be the best swap for that car or whatever.
It's more so just like you want to do it to that car.
Yeah, because I've done a lot of engine swaps, and I want to do some of the ones that I never really had the chance to do, but I kind of always was like, oh, that'd be so cool. And a lot of people have done them now, so they're not super original, but just the nature of building that car completely with that swap would really,
Going back to my first pick, like the Mini Cooper, I would love to put a B Series engine into a Mini Cooper. It is such a popular thing that people do, and I I think it's awesome.
Well, and I think what's interesting now, and I know that the Porsche guys will shout out and want to punch me in the face, but a lot of the guys that are taking some of the older Boxsters now, like the early 2000 Boxsters, and they're K24 turbo swapping them,
Nice.
right? I think that that's super cool because that engine is...
People are putting them in anything and everything. They're finding ways to just be like, all right, it's going to work for this car now.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
Kits start getting developed, and before you know it, that K-Series is going to take over the world, and everybody's going to have a drop-in kit for it.
it just means that there won't be any K-Series left. There's a lot of K-Series. But the point is that when it comes down to some of these cars, especially with the Porsche Boxsters, I mean, you don't have to worry about IMS bearings. You don't have to worry about any of the crap that goes wrong with some of those cars. But the fact that you can get into some Honda stuff, and it makes it super reliable and affordable to maintain and run, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's my list. What do you think your list would be? What cars do you think you would buy if money were no object and you wanted to keep them forever? What are your forever cars?
Yeah. And,
Right.
you know, just because money's no object, you know, doesn't mean it has to be crazy
doesn't
luxury
have-
cars.
that's true.
You know?
That's true.
None of mine were crazy luxury cars.
Yeah.
So,
Can't help myself. If you're going to give me the odds to go to another level, I would like to go to another level. Listen, there's a lot of cars that I know at some point I will own because I can't help myself, but I don't know that all those cars will stay forever.
I'm patiently waiting for the day Scott pulls up in one of those 16 silver GTRs.
It's not going to happen ever. I don't know if it's a better or worse feeling. Like, I mean, better in the sense that I don't have to worry about, like, I don't have to scour the internet at night waiting for one to become available or waiting for a lead on it because I'll never be able to afford it anyway.
And then worrying about what the hell you're going to do with it once you actually have it.
That's less my concern.
Like, could you just leave it parked in your garage without the fear of, like, something might scratch it or, like, you have to carefully inch around it?
If I had that car and I spent that kind of money to get that car, I think there's no question that I would not have that house that I have.
Or you will have that house because you had spent all your money on that car.
No. And that I don't think I could bring myself to. But, you know, I think that there's something super incredible about having some of these cars that allow you to be part of automotive history.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's something really, really, like... And I think that's what makes these cars... Because, look, you can buy an R34 and modify it and build it and to make it, you know... Let's. I don't want to say this lightly, but make it better than all those cars. Mm-hmm. But the idea that you could own automotive history... Like, when somebody says, back in the day, you can open up your garage and, like, look at it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Anyhow, that's all. That's it.
Anyways, so that's it for this podcast. Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah.
Friday, we will have a new piece of content out.
That's our hope.
Probably. We go live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Instagram, definitely Facebook most of the time.
Yeah, so if you're around later, make sure you check us out. Come hang out. Bring your car stuff. In fact, if you watch this and you want to come talk about the cars that you would like to purchase with money with no object, make sure you tune into the live. Bring those with you, and make sure you comment below. But I guess that's about it.
Pretty
so hope you have a good week, and we will catch you back here next Wednesday for another episode of Wheel Wednesday. Take care.